Punarapi jananam punarapi maranam punarapi janani jathare shayanam. Punarapi jananam punarapi maranam punarapi janani jathare shayanam ihi sansare bahudustare kripaya pare pahi murare. Knowledge alone liberates us from the world. And what is this world? Is what Buddha says the word is suffering. That word is understood as sansara. Buddha used to use the word sansara is suffering. So that sansara is imagined, created world in my mind, and that is why I suffer. Now I'm jealous of Steve and Dennis, so Dennis also must be jealous of Steve. This is the world I create. I'm attached to you, I love you. So hence everyone should love without thinking. And that is what the foolishness is. And that is what Buddha says is the world, and that word, sansara, is suffering. Am I mindful? No, we say that we have to be mindful. Am I mindful of what I'm saying? Existence says we have given you so much. Still you are worried. Still you are stressed. Still you are jealous. So what it means? Pay attention. Very important point today. I am jealous of you means that you become the recipient of my jealousy. You become the recipient of my worry. You become the recipient of my stress. This is the world what Buddha says is suffering. The world outside is beautiful. Is beautiful. Are you getting it? We are going deeper. Existence is unhappy because it knows it has given us so much. And in return, what we are giving is the imagined world. That world is suffering. Normally we talk about, oh, the Buddha says the world is suffering. No. The way we think about the world is not suffering. Not getting enough thinking, desire causes the imagined world, and that lives in the mind. That is suffering, my friends. Understand it. I hate you. So when I talk about my hatred against a person to you, you should accept it. This is the world of suffering. So if you don't hate what I hate, then you are my enemy. Pay attention to it. It's a very important point that this master is. I have a desire for a separate identity. Again, think in a different way. How many times I reacted, stressed, scared of the death, felt too much of pain because of situation, because of people, because of relationship, having or not having a thing or possession. This is all imagined creation in the mind, and that imagined world that I have created in my head is suffering. Not actually this world outside is suffering. When Buddha says samsara is suffering, but why I have taken up the topic of suffering, that is what this verse means. How many times it has been repeated. I have repeated a sense of dissatisfaction, a sense of reaction, a sense of anxiety every day, every hour, every minute. It means I worked impulsively, habitually. Can I awaken to those subtle moments in my head? That is what the delusion is. Can I think, speak, and act in the world with peace, happiness, and the joy? Yes, Eastern wisdom says yes. So when I am thinking, speaking, and acting out of the peace and the joy, I am helping the existence. I'm helping the existence to manifest in me. And that existence is the real self, and that is what the awakening is. How seek blessings of the self knowledge. So ultimately, it boils down that I have to get rid of this delusion. I have to enter into the self knowledge, not the knowledge of physics and chemistry or a smartwatch, etc., etc. Self knowledge by meditation, then allow meditation to embrace the entire life, not for a minute, not for an hour, 24 by 7. Think, think, is it possible? Yes, possible. I have to see, I have to see and check that I am a giver of a stress or a hatred or a jealousy. I'm living in the delusion. I have created an imagined world. I superimposed my own world on the most beautiful world around me. But that is what Buddha says the world is suffering. Now come to this verse Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Jan पुनरपि जननी जठरे शयनम ये संसारे बहुदुस्तारे कृपया पारे पाहि मुरारे. Only the knowledge can help us get rid of this world that is suffering, nothing else. So means what it says, the verse means the repeated birth, the repeated death, the repeated lying in the mother's womb. So this is what Buddha says, the cycle of birth and the death. I'm mentioning again and again Buddha. It is already explained in many other texts by many masters also. It is hard to overcome. I'm anxious today. Yesterday and tomorrow I'm relaxed. But that being anxious is already accumulated in my head, in my mind, is going to be repeated day after tomorrow. How many times I have been anxious in this world with the different situation, people, and relationship. I never think, can I get rid of this anxiousness? Are you getting it? What I'm saying? So it is being repeated again and again. It is being repeated again and again. That is what it means by repeated birth, repeated death. Don't go for, oh, I have a past birth or look. Understand this point first. Then we will go there. This is what the master says. I became agitated over my honey. Then I said sorry. And after a few days, again I do the same thing. Repeated birth. My false personality takes birth again and again. I die to my love, peace, and happiness again and again. We start thinking, well, can you tell me? Can you read my previous birth? First, take care of the present birth, Then we will talk about the previous birth in the past. I believe you are getting it. So this verse is saying, this verse is a prayer expressing the sorrow of repetitive birth and the death, taking birth only to die again and again. I took birth of a reaction and to die again and birth, rebirth again. So the master is saying I have to take a refuge in the self-knowledge. I have to take a refuge in the self-knowledge. So I have to recognize the limitations of the body-mind complex. This is limiting me. That is why I enter into anxiety and I become a giver of this anxiety, duality, and a conflict to the world, whereas the existence has given me peace and happiness all the time. So when I become a giver, it is known as the delusion. So what is to be done? I have to take refuge in the self-knowledge. Self-knowledge that I am of the nature of peace and happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. I have to discover it. I have not to take it for granted. I have not to believe. I have to inquire. I have to do the self-inquiry to get rid of the delusion, and then I return into that state. So the master is using a prayer. So prayer means a recognition that there is an all-pervading supreme consciousness. My mind is crazy and your mind is good. Can we say that your consciousness is good and my consciousness is crazy? Think, think. I'm just giving the reasoning. But the moment you say your consciousness is good and my consciousness is bad, it means I have divided that consciousness in two. Fact is that there is only one consciousness. I cannot have your consciousness. I cannot have my consciousness. So that consciousness is reflected into the mind that limits me through my anxiety, through my getting upset, through the reaction, is the imagined world, which is the cause of the suffering. But why? Why this master is saying? Why the master is saying this? Can you imagine why the master is saying? The first seven steps, first seven factors that causes the delusion is all known as the world that is suffering. So the first seven steps, now I'm giving one where this samsara is suffering. Foolishness. Samsara is, that is samsara. Scattered mind, that is samsara. Attachment, that is samsara. Emotional dependence, that is samsara. Selfishness or ego, that is samsara. Intellectual paralysis, that is samsara. And constantly changing desire means now I'm into anxiety, now I say sorry. This is the repeated birth and the death. So all the seven factors, now we have come to a conclusion that these seven factors means the entire world. That is suffering. Understand from the different point of view. You pick up any factor out of the seven factor. They are not independent. They are pertaining to the imagined world. Foolishness pertaining to the imagined world that is living in my mind. Scattered mind. Scattered mind means that in relationship to the situation, people, huh? That is what the scattered mind, attachment. Attachment to some situation, people. It is the world. So I live into, continues to live in this illusion or the delusion. That is the world that is suffering, not the world as such. Do you see that? How the master comes to the beautiful conclusion. All these seven factors is one word. The world is suffering. So when I experience that I'm suffering, it is because of the seven factors, and these seven factors constitute the entire world, which is known as the samsara. Thing. So these seven factors aligns with the saying of the Buddha, the world is suffering. I'm using integrating different sayings of masters. So if you say foolishness, the Buddha emphasized the need for mindfulness here, self-awareness, examinations of one's life rather than living unconsciously. Now see, we are understanding how these seven factors are constitutes the world which is suffering. Scattered mind. Buddhism stresses the cultivation of meditative focus and mental clarity to overcome the scattered mind. Attachment, the second noble truth of Buddhism, is that suffering arises from attachment or thirst or a desire, clinging to impermanent things. Again, you see the same word is suffering. Emotional dependence, word is suffering. Selfishness, ego. Contemplating impermanence in the death urges us to use our transient life meaningfully rather than squandering in selfish pursuits. Intellectual paralysis. The Buddha encouraged investigation and challenged dogmatic adherence to limiting views. Buddha, do you know? Remember that? Do you know or have you read? Buddha says, don't believe me because I said so. Don't believe because I have written so, unless you fully examine. So if you don't examine, you simply believe, you will enter into the delusion. So Buddha uses another word, dukkha. So dukkha means pain, suffering caused by the delusion. Utter dissatisfaction in life. But don't think that, you can say, no, I'm not totally dissatisfied. Yes, you are only satisfied because of your attachment, because of your intellectual paralysis. You see that? I'm only satisfied if I'm attached, if I have a sense of pleasure seeking situation, people, world outside. I'm not satisfied within myself. I'm not happy with myself. First seven factors. The moment I talk about this word is suffering, find out. Oh, find out which of the seven factors is dominant in me. And then start working. Remedy. Five, five remedial steps. I have to challenge the false assumption. The moment I have anxiety due to anything, label it, it is a false assumption. Challenge it. First, label it, then challenge it. So you're directly hitting your anxiety, you're directly hitting your reaction. So what is going to happen instead of delusion and division, you start moving to discernment and dispassion. You start moving from the false to the real. You start working on the mind. So all the five factors together means one word, satsang. First seven factors, delusion or whatever you say, first seven factors. According to the Buddha, the word is suffering. Second five factors, satsang. Satsang means listening and learning from a teacher, consistently listening and learning, contemplation and reflection and the practice, all are included. And that results into now we are removing that imagined world superimposed by my mind on myself, on my life. And gradually I see that I I get rid of these seven factors because I challenge the false assumption there is a sense of non-attachment and dispassion in my life, then I keep the company elevated. I live in the elevated company. Means that in my head, I live mindfully. That is one way. And other is it living with some teacher. There are too many. So instead of a fickle mindedness, I don't allow my mind to enter into the emotional dependence that will keep my mind completely pure. Punarapi jaranam, punarapi maranam. So the repeating, that repeat birth and the death will not take place. Repeat birth and death. Even in there is a story, I think I told the story many a times. Someone spitted on the Buddha's face and his cousin was behind and cousin wanted to catch the neck. Ananda. Buddha said, leave it. So after spitting on the face, the guy left. Next day he came and he touched the feet. He bowed down. So in the first case, he was in delusion. In the second case, he was in dispassion. So one birth was in delusion, other birth was in dispassion. So when we are in the mood of dispassion, even without learning, for some time you have you have removed that imagined world which is causing the suffering, but we chase it again. Master says, how long you are going to chase it? Let me get rid of this anxiety, reaction, and upset once and forever. Means the word suffering has to go. By the satsang, second step, second group of the 5 steps, and third group of the 5 steps is what you can directly say the realization. So I experience those realizations. So after realization, everything will be done. Yes and no both. So today you have eaten your food. So now it is finished. You will not take the food tomorrow. No, I will take the food because I become hungry. So the 4 hour, remember, remind, repeat, and revise. You see, 4 groups, remember. And that is how it works. Now you see that everything is happening in your mind because everything is happening in your mind. You're taking stock of your reaction, hesitation, and guide, and everything you are contemplating, you are reflecting, you're getting rid of that delusion. The mind becomes totally clear. Then only you are mindful. Then only you are mindful, not before that. No, 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 I'm mindful. No, be mindful. That will not work. Mind lives in wisdom. How 7 factors makes me crazy, and satsang, then realization, then 4 hour. 4 hour reminds me that outer change is not required. Inner change enables awareness, rise in awareness. Outer change puts me into unconscious habit. I should recognize the hypocrisy. Knowledge alone, the self knowledge alone, brings the freedom. Punarapi, Maranam Punarapi Jana. 4 hour. So you can convert that 4 hour into one word. Self remembering. That is the 7th step of the Eightfold Noble Path. That is known as the meditation practice in Buddhism, mindfulness practice. Oh, so now the course is complete. Yes, if you have reached to that state. If you live into that state, the course is done. But there are other aspects which the master will cover. So you see, the first is I recognize the word, what imagined word in my mind. Remedy, satsang. Then I should check my life. There are realizations. Yes. Fourth is self remembering, not the ego self remembering, the real self remembering. Not the ego self remembering, it is the real self remembering. If the ego self is remembering, it means I have not taken the first step. Punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam. So Master is saying that, see the literal translation. Literal translation, and then we will repeated birth and the repeated death and the repeated lying in the mother's womb. So we have different meaning. Many masters have explained it differently. So means that those accumulated anxiety in the form of the impressions is already playing in the womb of the mind. There is a reservoir of my past impressions. They are going to manifest it again and again. And that is how we live our life. That is how we die. Days after days, weeks after weeks, months after months, years after years. I have grown beard. I have become mature. So people say now you are senior, but still I act like a junior. 7 factors. Emotional dependence. First, words. Instantly, the moment you hear the word, anywhere and everywhere in your conversation, remember, am I living in these 7 factors? Remedial steps is known as the satsang. Third, realization. Do I experience that calmness and peace in me? Fourth is the self remembering. Self remembering is mindfulness 24 by 7. I told you before also, the seventh of the Eightfold Noble Path is known as the Samyak Smriti. Samyak Smriti means rightful memory. It also means the memory of the consciousness, not the memory of the mind. So the memory of the consciousness is nothing but the mindfulness. Where is the memory of the consciousness? Peace, happiness, love, truth, and but what is the memory of the mind? What? So now I have known the basics, the behind, deeper aspects behind these 4 words. And then I play with my mind. The mind doesn't play with me. Let us, because other aspects will also be explained in the following sessions. So why says the mother's womb? Because all my past impressions, I became anxious today. It has created multiple impressions in my mind, but then I became aware, I discerned, I became dispassionate. So I entered into calmness and peace. But those impressions are still buried inside me. They will manifest again, finding a situation, people, relationship. So means what? I am driven by the karma and ignorance. And that ignorance is delusion. But why? The mind again relinked me with the false identification. Now pick up any of the 7 factors. What are those false identification? Then you will realize this world is suffering. But what is the ultimate reason? Lack the self knowledge. Why I lack the self knowledge? Because I don't follow the second group. which is known as the satsang, which includes the 5 remedial steps. I have been using the word remedy. Third step is the realization. So, because lacking the self knowledge, I'm maintaining selfishness, I'm maintaining attachment. So, I'm maintaining attachment. It will continue again result into anxiety and reaction. Are you getting it? Simple way. You see the permutation and combination. If I'm continuously maintaining an attachment to anyone, obviously it will result into anxiety, reaction, scattered mind, emotional dependence, ego, craving, aversion, satsang. And not only satsang, but I have applied that satsang. Now I have to see in my life whether I'm living into that state or not. Not only that, I have to live into that self remembering. Sansara is one word for the 7 steps. Sansara. Satsang is another group of the 5 practices that we have to apply. Realization, or you can say self awareness. Instead of lack of self awareness, now I'm self aware. Now I experience the change in my life. And the fourth one, samyak smriti, self remembering. Then you are really a spiritual person. Then only you are really a spiritual person. Then you are also a religious person. Why? Because you religiously dedicated and committed to transform your life. I would better, whether you follow Christianity, whether you follow Hinduism or any religion, does not matter. Close your eyes. Eyes are closed, my friends. Eyes are closed. Place, position, and the posture. Place, position, and the posture. I'm not going to explain it. You already know it. You all are seekers. Place, surrounding awareness. You become aware of the surrounding that nothing outside can disturb you. You have a tremendous patience. You are not getting deflected by any object of the 5 senses, whether it is sound or sensation or others. You see that? And that is what is mean. That is the meaning of being comfortable and being carefree. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. May there be peace for all. May there be happiness for all. First verse meaning, may there be happiness for all. Does your mind remind you what it means and redirects your mind to yourself? Is your mind saying that happiness is within me? And that is why I am saying, let there be happiness for all. So I'm not only a receiver of happiness, but I'm a giver of happiness. Nobody wants to take your anxiety, I can tell you. Even the honey that loves you the most, or the friend that loves you the most, they are not ready to take your anxiety, your reaction. No one. They may, they may play with you, but they are not ready. And if you believe so, try it. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. May there be peace for all. Find out. You heard it. We started applying satsang. Second, I need not to explain all the 5 steps. You all are seekers, my friends. Peace is my essential nature, one explanation. So let peace be expressed. That is why let there be peace everywhere. Not the other way around. Many people wrongly translate, oh no, if the peace is outside, then I'll be in peace. Then I'm living in the world. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. May there be completeness for all, in all. Sense of completeness, I am aware of the sense of completeness within. Will your mind be distracted? Think of this, where the word goes away, the word dissolves instantly. That is why the mantra is Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. May there be an auspiciousness. I'm already explaining in detail. The very first step is auspiciousness on Saturday's session. But here, auspiciousness, it is already there in our life. It is, it is covered, it is veiled by the 7 factors that I have to understand and rediscover myself. What about the past impressions, the reservoir of those impressions? I don't want to get upset. Now, as a seeker, we say, I don't want to get upset, but still, just, in a flick of a second, my mind changes. So it means there is a past impression in the womb of the mind, and that is what we are going to remove. That is why we are doing this purification process. Eyes are closed. Eyes are closed. You are looking deep inside the forehead in the space. You say Om Shanti and Om Shanti and start breathing quick, short breath through both the nostrils. Check expansion and contraction of the rib cage. Check body is in the state of steadiness. And then you are dropping Om Shanti in the space because there is a space where you drop Om Shanti. So the mind is beautifully engaged. If I use the word, it is engaged there. Oh, there is an emptiness. I can easily drop Om Shanti. So there is a sense of emotional attachment to that space where you drop Om Shanti. You get emotionally attached to any mantra. It will liberate you. You get emotionally attached to even your honey. It will frustrate you. Continue, quick, short, gentle breath, expansion and yes, remember, don't forget, resistance. If there is any resistance in the mind, you have to endure it. Why? Because that is going to come in the teaching of this text. That but sometime I fail. Why I fail? Because I don't apply patience and endurance. Look at the beauty of this journey. And if I find new experiences, sometimes, yes, My mind says that there is a sense of bodilessness. Yes, enjoy that state. I acknowledge, I accept, I recognize. I recognize that. I know. Stop this fast breathing. Allow the breath to be normal. Pay attention to the flow of the breath and also experience the stillness in the body, awareness of the flow of the breath. Acknowledge the changes in the experiences that you have, maybe sense of relaxation and calmness, etc. Can I extend my awareness and attention on the flow of the breath for a longer period? That will also help us move deeper. So it appears it has only one step of breathing and then flow of the breath. Basically, these are the two different steps, takes us deeper. The very awareness of the flow of the breath helps the mind to acknowledge and recognize the continuous nature of the state of calmness and the emotional poise. How come? That is the following verses in this text will reveal that. We take it in a very easily, we take it for granted. No, I'm doing it. No, I have to do it with awareness. Now, looking deep inside the forehead, Om Shanti continues. And now we will pick up the third type of the breathing. You need not to do it very fast, but as fast as you can. The first you inhale into the belly, then you continue inhaling into the chest, continue to exhale from the belly first and then the rib cage. It is one of the most difficult breathing practices because I have to combine both the belly and the rib cage in inhalation and in exhalation. Mind naturally gives a break that, oh, first let me breathe into the belly and then I inhale it, then I exhale and then breathe into the ribs. No, one deep, long, hissing breath. So even if you cannot do the hissing breath, let us start from the even silent breath. You start inhaling into the belly, into the rib cage, up to the throat. You find that you have filled the air until the throat. And then you start exhaling from the belly, from the rib cage, very deep, silent and slow. Your expansion of the belly and the ribs continues. Om Shanti, never forget to do it. You see the second or the second of the seven steps in the first, samsara is dukkha, scattered mind. So when I have a scattered mind, I will forget Om Shanti. So now you're totally absorbed deeper inside. You simply listen to me as a matter of reference. That's all. You become more important to yourself than me. That is the role of a teacher. Your mind, you're fully aware, expansion of the belly follows the rib cage, contraction of the belly follows the rib cage during inhalation and exhalation. And we skip the second type, the breathing. And we'll be doing the full 1 hour of session of meditation. You are already prepared, I know it, but yes, let us wait for a few sessions more. I'll talk even for 5 minutes and we will continue to do it. That will check our level of progress also. That's another way. Continue inhaling and exhaling, dropping Om Shanti, maintaining the steadiness in the body, deep, silent, and slow breath. Sometimes it needs maybe 7 to 8 minutes, but now leave this breathing, bring your awareness on the flow of the breath and pay attention to the flow of the breath. Whichever flow is less, just pay more attention there. And the rest is the same. You continue to be in a state of stillness and living within. You already experienced the stillness in the body, calmness is already there. So there is a sense of freedom from the body. You are paying attention to the breath, and you may find the breath is also sinking. So it means there is a sense of emotional poise. I'm going to talk about that. And then that mind continues to live within. In that state of the mind is the best to follow the next step that is on the 16 segments. That works better after the deep, long breathing. So now pay attention to those 16 segments, dropping Om Shanti of the fingers, and you will discover without even physically touching, you may have a lot of sensations. It is because we balance the prana, it is because we lifted the prana, it is because we release the prana from the lower consciousness to the higher consciousness. Then it becomes playful. The moment you say Om Shanti and your mind's eye is looking at one segment, you will instantly feel that sensation in the finger without touching. Normally say it's a mystical. Can you imagine that how the Reiki and the pranic healing works? Shanti, Shanti. That is, this is not only the step, but also the third group, realizations. You realize your Om Shanti in the mind itself does not need a physical touch to awaken to those energy sensations in the fingertips. It means a lot. We will understand in this journey, my friends. Now we will continue. Leave this, move the mind in the cave of your heart, triangle, equilateral, of any color. So when I say any color, I'm just attracting the attention of your mind. Whatever the color you like, you may see the triangle of that color, moving the mind on a triangle, dropping Om Shanti. Find the sync clockwise and anti-clockwise. And when you find there is a sync, then singing mentally, emotionally, here you are pushing the mind, working on the mind. So I use the, see that interpreted, I use the instruction. Pushing the mind deep inside the cave of your heart. Then again, I make you aware, mind seemingly stops. You say Shanti, no more activity, no more actions, no more steps, no more practices. That is where the self absorption is. Any movement in the body means the mind is taking over you in the beginning, but gradually, even if the body moves, it doesn't make any difference. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your Buddha palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. We will share our experiences. How are you, Stephen?
Good. Thank you, sir. Um, very good lesson. Um, the For me, it just says this theme of just heightened awareness, and everything is it for me is just starting at the awareness and then being able to apply everything, even the lessons of today, um, to being able to recognize to offset going down the wrong paths. Um, and then as far as the meditation goes, the second I closed my eyes, I just felt drawn into this peaceful, calm space of nothingness. There was not a thought, and it was extremely fast. And from time to time, I checked the flow, um, and it was just perfectly clear and just a place of euphoria. So thank you.
Good, good. The moment I close my eyes and it takes my mind deeper without any effort, it becomes an effortless nature. Beautiful. How are you, David and Jerry?
Good morning. Thank you. Yeah, it was a wonderful experience. I used uh, the endurance to transition from the mind through the space to the consciousness through the entire practice. And when we were doing the job, my hand felt like it was just on fire um, because of the focus. And then when we went into the heart center, it was immediate indigo that I saw. And then I just went to this place of abundant awareness. for the rest of the meditation.
Beautiful. You see that one thing we should be very clear that we follow all these steps, but they become your steps. That is how your experiences, the third group is known as the realization. So you have your own realization, the way he said from endurance to this, and then ultimately to self-absorption. So other people may not have that, may not need that level of endurance. So everything, all the process is okay. How you experience and ultimately you reach to that goal is more important. Beautiful. How are you, Jerry?
Sir, I'm good. Thank you. The meditation there was this overwhelming sense of fullness that had nothing to do with the body, way beyond the body, and then a complete sense of connectedness with liberation. So, and the liberation was the most joyous, peaceful, loving,
Yeah.
feeling, sensation of fullness, connected, and liberation, but totally connected. So it felt,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes, beautiful. That is why I just summarized these four groups in 4 steps. So in the state of the third group is the realization or the self-remembering. We recognize that sense of the fullness. And if this fullness and the sense of connectedness we live into that sense of connectedness all the time, the life is going to change. Then these 7 factors will never return to us. How are you, Brandy? Samir Bhagnani. I'm asking Samir
Good
not to.
morning.
Yes, good. Yeah.
Leave. Yes, thanks, Emil. Thank you. My experience was similar to Stephen's in that, the lesson reminded me that it's really a matter of where you put your attention and your awareness. And then I applied that to the meditation. And a couple of times my mind was tugging. It wanted to get me involved in stuff. And I'm like, no, this is not what we're doing.
Yeah. That is how we have to work on the mind until second group of the step. Whether you say it is a satsang or whether you say the fifth one, what is the work on the mind or mind works on. So you pick up anything, you pick up any of these principles and you remember all the 4 groups and then you work on your mind and the life is going to change anywhere, anytime. How are you, Samir?
Sir, it was very peaceful. It was like that all the thoughts and feelings were sitting down. And they were standing and they were now, after meditation, they have sat down, means slowly they are dissolving.
Yeah, they are dissolved. Yeah. So if they settle down, the mind is clear. So obviously, then what is left is the self-remembering. That is the 4th group. And when we are in the state of self-remembering, the life is changing. How are you, Dennis?
Thank you. Today, the mind picked up a different sensation when dropping Om Shanti during the breathing. I think I could describe it as the connectedness to the process of Om Shanti going into the space, like almost visualization of this process by the mind. That the rest of the meditation was filled with I would say joyful sensation, and at some point towards the end there was something like I could use the word deconstruction of deconstruction of the usual reality or something like that. That for a moment there was a totally different experience, and then it reconstructed back again.
Yeah. Mental constructs, emotional constructs is nothing but the delusion. So what he is saying, the deconstruct, that all dropped completely. Oh, there is nothing like this. So there is nothing like this means that there is, now I'm out of the delusion. So when I'm out of the delusion, then there is a pure awareness. That is what perhaps he meant. Beautiful. How are you, Christina?
Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Today I felt almost as if I was walking out of an imaginary world, as you described, of the delusion, and felt so much more clarity. And in the middle of the practice, I had chills throughout my whole body for most of it.
Beautiful. That's a good. Now, see, you have used the imaginary word. As long as I live in the delusion, experiences of meditation appears imaginary. That is a great delusion. And that is why I need to practice consistently until I reach to a level where I can drop the imaginary world of delusion and I enter into the real world of the consciousness. Did you? I think I made it clear. Ashok, how are you, Ashok, sir?
Sir, namaste.
Namaste.
Good, sir. I am good and peace and calm and nothing to ask. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Terry. Is Terry? Yes, yes.
Yes, I experienced a lot of endurance.
Good.
So I was a lot of resistance, and I have trouble doing the breathing and the Shanti.
Yes.
So I just went to the Shanti. I usually go to the breathing. My breathing is not that strong.
No
So
problem.
today I focused on remembering the Shanti. So there was a lot of working going on.
You were moving your hand and you were saying, you were speaking also. So two activities are together. And I only told you to do the Om Shanti and the breathing. That was much easier than waving your hand.
I
And
know you think it wouldn't be that hard. Yeah, why is it so hard for me? That's I don't know.
no, but you rightly said that resistance was there and you endured it. So the greater the endurance, you will bypass the objections of the body and you can absorb deeper into that state.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
On the fingers, I went over and over on the same.
Oh, that is also okay, but do not touch physically.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's mental.
It's a mental. It's a mental. So now four words summarizing. First is the sansara is dukkha. Dukkha means suffering. Sansara is the word. Second group is satsang. So every master explained the word or the sansara or the suffering in his or her own ways. Same way with the satsang. Sometimes they have made 7 or 8 steps, sometimes they made 10 steps. And but for the sake of understanding, if we do not understand, the third group is the realization. And the fourth group is the self remembering. Self remembering means simply now I'm aware not of the world of delusion, but the world of the reality. That is pure consciousness. That is all for today. We'll meet again. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Namaste.
सर थैंक यू सर 1 मिनट बात करनी है
अच्छा